Hey everyone, RogueGold here. The Division 2's live stream and special report that the developers held to go over the latest Year 5 Season 2 update is just concluded, and so I want to go through everything that we learned. I have my recap and my notes, and I'm going to let you know what you need to know. So let's not waste any time. Yannick is back. Daria joined Yannick to talk about, like I said, the latest update for the Division 2 Year 5 Season 2 Puppeteers, and this was a really solid stream, and I say that without hyperbole or exaggeration. There was a lot of good news across many different areas that I think different people will be very pleased to hear, so I definitely suggest you watch all the way through to get all of the information that you need to know. The most important one is that the update goes live tomorrow, October 3rd. This includes the new incursion we're getting. We'll talk about that, the new season, and all the new content, so be sure to dive in tomorrow. They said that the patch notes will be going live immediately after the stream. I've yet to see them posted, but once they do, I'll be sure to include that in the description and a pinned comment down below. And to start off, they gave a quick shout out to the big news that we got recently about how Julian is moving back to the Division franchise as executive producer. To kind of give a background on who he is, they said that they are not moving from the Division 2, at least not at this moment. Obviously, they have a lot of plans still to go through with Year 5. They briefly touched on the season extensions about how that's going to allow them to deliver better quality new content as well as focus on some bug fixes and things like that. There was a short bit of news saying that there is a new one-time pack purchase available tomorrow when the update goes live called Art Deco, and that will be in stores, like I said, tomorrow. And now in this, we're going to go over an Analyst Report, Year 5 Season 2, PTS results, the Paradise Lost Incursion, quality of life changes, the holiday event, and a Q&A. A lot of stuff, let's go. Started off with another one of these analyst reports by our very own NGN. He covered some of the stuff that happened in Year 5 Season 1 and just basically previewed Season 2, saying that it's time to get Vic back, Vikram Malik, who we know from the story, but there's some other surprises, and we'll get to that, but that was a great segment. They then fully dived into Year 5 Season 2, starting off with the trailer, and this took me totally by surprise, is the fact that we are going to take on the Recruiter. The trailer ends with the great line of saying, "It's time you met the Recruiter." This is the hunter that we've come across a few times, and he is now the prime target for Year 5 Season 2. So the prime target is the Recruiter, but you still have those 4 civilians to rescue beforehand, similar to Year 5 Season 1. They showed us the seasonal calendar, and that goes live through January because, like I said, they did extend the season, so we can see when all those events are going to happen. Because of that, there will now be 4 weeks in between every target, as well as 5 2-week-long global events. So global events are now 2 weeks by default, and I think a lot of people are going to enjoy that very much. They highlighted a few of the new items coming with the season specifically. We have the Collector Exotic Chess Piece, which of course we saw in the PTS, the Ortiz Exoro Gear Set, which they did give a fun fact about because a lot of people were concerned about its viability. They said that the way the fire turret works in the Division 2, when you place it down, whether it's the normal version or this new Exuro version, anything within its cone is automatically going to be on fire. The actual visual effect of the fire beam is meaningless. It's just for the player to have a cool reference point. They showed off the new Iron Lung Exotic LMG. Again, we tested this all in the PTS, the Langmo brand set. In the Season 2 track, there will be 11 new weapon skins, 11 gear dies, 3 new emotes, and there will be a new exclusive Hunter outfit that will be on the reward track with basically kind of a reskin of that one we had before, but there's a brand new mask with a balaclava on it from the looks of it, and this thing looks pretty darn epic. I'm excited to get it, and like I said, that will presumably on the premium reward track for Season 2. They also showed off the new apparel event titled Nexus, the same rules as getting the keys as always, but this thing looks really cool. And again, apparel is very subjective. Different people like different categories of content. They said this kind of calls back to the street activation event we had back in Year 4, and I love that one, and I love this. I think these outfits look super cool. Yannick and Daria talked about how it has a bit more of a streetwear theme. There's some modern neon kind of inspirations in there. I just think it looks really sick. I'm excited for this one to start off, and they showed off that the completion outfit is one of those full uniforms, the same one as the Descent outfit from Season 1. And it kind of gives you this full body cloak, which I said they can only really code that into uniform ones because it doesn't then interact with your other gear. But yeah, really excited for the Nexus apparel event. They then talked about a few PTS results. They first said that they didn't want to feature the new incursion on the PTS as so to give unfair advantages to people who took part in it or to give spoilers to everybody else who didn't want to see. And ultimately, I'm happy with that decision given the insane reveals that they gave with that thing. Again, we'll get to that in a moment. A big change they made to the Ouroboros exotic SMG that you get from the incursion. This was a big topic during the PTS. I made a video on it. And guess what? To all those people who said that I was going to ruin the freaking game by what I suggested, they did exactly what I suggested. Not saying that I was the cause of that or anything like that, but what they did was they reduced the Ouroboros' RPM from 1500 to 1350. And they said on the stream they did not want to nerf it to the ground. They still wanted it to be a powerful reward that you get in a cool spot in the game, but it was just a bit overtuned and overperforming in the PTS, and so they did moderate reductions. They took off 150 of its RPM. Everything else is still the same. I think this is a fantastic change, and I think it's going to land in a much more balanced spot compared to how we saw it on the PTS. They showed off some of the descent changes we're getting this season as well, and they focused this on the PTS 2. There was a graph about the new rewards that they're doing some rather big buffs to the different cash-ins and stuff you get by reaching different loops within Descent. They also showed off a graph of the new talents we're getting this season, including Regicide, which I'm super happy about. They also mentioned about how Efficient was buffed from the PTS. It used to be 5%, now it's going to be 7%. And they mentioned the fact that they know how adding new talents every season is going to continue to dilute the loot pool, the talent loot pool in there. And they did say that they have some ideas on how to circumvent that, and we'll hear about that in the future. But then we get to the incursion, Paradise Lost. Everything about this looks completely epic. I cannot wait to dive into this. And it starts off with this cover art in the trailer. There's a flaming hunter in there. A hunter with a giant axe that is on fire with purple and pink and orange flame. That looks insanely epic and cool. I don't know what that's about, but I cannot wait to find out tomorrow. So yes, the incursion launches tomorrow with the update. There's no delay like they used to do with the raids. It will be there as soon as the update goes live. It's titled Paradise Lost, and it's taking place at the Murray estate, and they said that this is a settlement that is led by Mackenzie Murray, who is part of that family of the Murray estate, and we need to go in and save those civilians as well as just restore the settlement and take out the cleaners who are there. They stress that this is very challenging content on the same level as legendary missions or raids, but they say that it should be harder than both of those, including current day raids. Obviously, back in the day, raids were super tough. Now they can be speedrun pretty quick. The key difference is that it will be a 4-player activity that has matchmaking, so you can do this without having a pre-made group. They did stress that this will feel more like a raid than the Division 1's incursions, and when they looked back on the Division 1 to get inspiration for the incursions, they inspired it more off of Dragon's Nest and Stolen Signal compared to the original two, which were much less mechanically involved. They really did stress that this won't be a DPS check. It's going to be a lot more about your RPG team composition rather than the actual just challenge of, like I said, dealing all that damage or even just puzzles. They really wanted to be having that right team comp. So I'm excited to see how that plays out. They did mention the Ouroboros SMG will be the exclusive reward. You have a 10% chance from a box that will be at the end of the incursion. 10% chance per weekly clear. You can open that once per week and you get a 10% chance from that. But if you want to keep farming the incursion, you will have a 1% chance for it to drop from a boss kill. Every single time you kill a boss in the incursion, doesn't matter if it's your first run of the week or your 10th, it will always have that 1% chance. They did spotlight at least one boss encounter. We don't know how many bosses there will be, but these are the Lovebirds, 2 different cleaners. Of course, we've seen that hunter. Will there be other ones? I don't know, but again, super excited to find out. The devs gave a shout out to Ubisoft Shanghai and some of the people there who made this incursion, and it looks like they did a really good job. And they did say that it was actually guided by Sebastian, who is somebody over at Ubisoft Annecy. They led the Division 2's raids, but Sebastian was actually the lead designer on some of the Division 1 incursions as well as the Division 2 raids. So to see that they brought him back to kind of guide the team at Shanghai to make this, to bring that consistency with the previous content, it shows a real dedication to quality, and I really appreciate that. And like I said, really looking forward to get my hands on this. They covered a few key quality of life changes, including the fact that we will now have exotic caches available for purchase from DZ vendors at a cost of 170 DZ resources. The Stinger Hive's range is being reduced by 30% in PvP, and Yannick did make a very specific note here, and he actually mentioned it a few times throughout the stream, that they do have more drastic PvP changes coming in what he called, quote, a bigger package. So I don't know if this is something they're going to be deploying around the time of the DLC, around the time of Season 3, but apparently they do have some more substantial PvP changes in the works. We can kind of get a preview of that from what is on the known issues board, so if you're somebody who's really wanting PvP changes, stay tuned for that, because it sounds like we're getting something big. They've added new UI to the Manhunt bounties for people who are having issues launching them. It will now tell you what you need to do in order to do that. They added an extra step onto the Manhunt targets, which tells you to return to the castle and talk to them, because that was creating issues before. They've added a new equip set button to different apparel things, and this one was heavily requested by a lot of people. They've added a new Legacy Manhunt menu, which they said is basically an entirely new feature. It offers a story recap and the ability to replay the old climax missions for all previous seasons. It's not the entire Manhunt, just that final mission, but it will give you a text recap of everything that happened in that season. You can replay them with the cutscenes. And they said in the future, this will not be live with Season 2, but what they're going to add is to the ability to get all of the old collectibles from those seasons by replaying that climax mission. If you replay it, then the bosses will drop all these different ones, so you can collect all of those, figure out what happened in the story, and be all set for the current and ongoing story. So that's a really cool feature. I'm glad they added that, and I'm excited to see it tomorrow. They previewed the winter holiday event because, of course, the season is going to extend over the holidays, and so they showed us a quick preview trailer to show that the new unique item this time around is going to be a Santa backpack. This thing looks really sweet. It's going to be its own named item, so we'll see if this ends up being more of like an Oh Carol, where it's just a cool, unique item, or if it's more like the Chill Out, where it actually has some real purpose in build making. I'm excited to find out. We don't know yet, but we will later. There's no locked date for this event yet, other than that it is coming in December. And they said that this time around it is going to be a more substantial event with a few more rewards, in that there will be 15 daily projects that once they unlock, they accumulate for the duration of the event, so you don't have to actually log on every day to do them, but they just unlock over the course of 15 days. And out of those 15 daily projects, 10 of them will reward you with new cosmetic rewards. That's right, 10 brand new cosmetics, as well as 5 old ones to make up for the stuff that they had in previous years. So that's really sweet, and I'm looking forward to finding out more about that. And as usual, they ended off the stream with a Q&A to talk about anything that the chat had questions on. The incursion can be match made, which we covered earlier. It is free. The only thing you need to do to get the incursion is to obviously own Warlords. It's only available at level 40. Somebody asked about getting the recruiter outfit that we saw earlier on in the Season 2 trailer. They kind of gave a wink and a nod about that. I wonder if that might be the reward for completing the season. We'll find out, but that would be pretty sweet. Somebody asked about the possibility to get old Halloween masks from the store. They didn't really comment on that, but they did say that there will be a new mask that's themed around the Halloween season available in the store once we get closer to Halloween, so that's pretty sweet. They talked about how skins on exotic weapons is an idea that they have, and we might hear more about that in the future. Once again, Yannick talked about them working on PvP balancing stuff, and that is something we're going to hear about down the line. They said that their intention is to continually rework old gear sets and exotics with these updates, and so we might hear more about those with future ones, Season 3 and onward. They said that there are no current plans to shake up the raid rewards. People are asking about putting new exotics in there, but they did say that if the game, progresses for several more years, then the Ouroboros could be added to the DZ in the far future, so there you go. They did talk about the possibility for a save and resume feature in Descent, which is something that you've probably heard me say a lot about. Unfortunately, they said with the way that Descent is coded and structured, it would be a tremendous amount of work to add that in. So it is not currently planned. However, they do have some ideas for how they could reduce the Descent runtimes to make the mode itself more viable for you to really jump into for those 1-2 hour periods. So they said stay tuned on that, and I'm curious to see what they might have in store there. They stressed, as always, that stability and performance will always be top priority. Somebody asked, will we get Division 2 content after Year 5, to make up for the time in between now and Division 3? Obviously, they couldn't give a definitive answer, but they said they want to. Obviously, they have a lot more ideas and plans for the Division 2. If they get to do more stuff after the DLC, we'll see. As usual, there was a question about inventory and stash space expansion, and as I've always told you guys, they said a long time ago that that is no longer technically possible. If they add more, that's going to start introducing issues to the game. But they did say they do have some ideas on how to improve that for the future and how to improve the idea that players need to hoard every single piece of gear they get, so we'll see if we hear more of that down the line. They are actively discussing, Yannick's words not mine, some plans for future textile usages so that people can actually spend them on something, not just hoard them up in your inventory, so we'll see about that. And they finished off by saying that there are some plans being discussed and some things being finalized for how they could maybe do more live streams and chat opportunities with the developers in the future, so that would be pretty cool. I hope we see that. And there we go, people. That was the Year 5 Season 2 special report. Like I said, a lot of really good stuff. Obviously, the incursion and the new stuff is what's most exciting. But between them talking about the fact that there is a bigger PvP package coming, I'm really interested to find out about that. The fact that they're adding that legacy manhunt system to be able to go back to these old seasons, see the cutscenes, the comms, everything. That's awesome. Just a lot of really good stuff in here. Not too much to complain about. And yeah, let me know your thoughts on it. What are you most looking forward to with the update tomorrow? What about the future gets you the most excited? Let me know all of it. Like I said, I will update with the patch notes down below once those are released. I will be streaming the update tomorrow and showing off the new incursion, so tune into that if you want to see what it's all about. And that's going to do it for me today, everybody. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. RogueGold. Ow.